My name is Christine South and I am Operations Quality Assurance Officer in the Disaster and Crisis Management Department of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. I came into the humanitarian business completely by accident. I was working in theatre in the UK and I had a friend, an ex-colleague who worked for British Red Cross, and I went to work for them on a temporary basis at the time of the Rwanda crisis, so in 1994. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, a youngster. And at that point I went from temporary work to sort of longer term contracts, ended up with the International Committee of the Red Cross, the conflict arm of the Red Cross, Red Crescent, and stayed with them for a couple of years, did a field mission in Kosovo, went back to British Red Cross and came to the Federation in 2000. So I've been with the International Federation for 15 years now, and for the last, since 2007-8, been in the disaster response side, starting mainly with just the post end of the tsunami and then the Pakistan earthquake. But yes, it wasn't planned, but it's been an exciting adventure and I've learned an awful lot about life and the importance of the work we do. Yes, the person back then would probably not have expected to stay as long because she had planned to be in the theatre. She would be very surprised that she ended up in a position where she's had the experience of coordinating major disaster response operations like the Pakistan earthquake, and had the opportunity to work in parts of the world and to meet volunteers and those affected by crisis, which has profoundly changed her view of the world and an appreciation of how lucky we are to live in a developed country without facing the conflict and the vulnerabilities that people in the rest of the world face. So I don't think the person then would have anticipated quite how life-changing the experience has been. I think the IFRC has a number of levels of coordination, so perhaps to start with our internal coordination, because that's very important to us, perhaps less obvious to people outside the Red Cross, Red Crescent movement. But as we're a member organisation, our first level of coordination would be with our National Society membership. So in ongoing programming, but also in an emergency response situation, our first coordination would be with our member National Society in the country affected. So a recent example would be with the Nepal earthquake, with the Nepal Red Cross. And then at the next level, with our member National Societies who are being mobilised to respond in a big scale disaster. So the American Red Cross, the British Red Cross, or the Malaysian Red Crescent, or the Iranian Red Crescent. It could be a number of national societies. Currently in Nepal we have 26 partner national societies, and we have a mandated role to direct and coordinate international response with the national society in the affected country. So our first level of coordination is internal to the Federation. The next level then is also with the movement, so with the ICRC. So with the ICRC, particularly in a more complex situation like the Yemen or Syria, we would have a responsibility to work closely with the ICRC as well as the members of the Federation to ensure that we as a Red Cross, Red Crescent movement are working in the most efficient and effective way as a movement. So therefore that we're using our skills, our mandate, our capacities as effectively as we can together to provide a coordinated response. And so for example, in the Yemen, the ICRC is what we call the lead agency because of the conflict situation, and we are providing support in coordination with them to the Yemen Red Crescent to help build their capacity to support the response. In Nepal, because it's a natural disaster, we are the lead, and they are coordinating with us to provide things specific to their mandate. So restoring family links, tracing services, the dignified management of dead bodies and so forth. So it depends on the type of context. Our first role in terms of coordination would be internal. After that, we would have a clear role of coordination with the government of the country, often via our national society. So our national societies have a specific status as Red Cross, Red Crescent societies as auxiliary to the government. So in that, they often have a place enshrined in national law, or they have a place in national contingency planning where they have a specific role, be that blood service provision or ambulance services or whatever. And they are often part of the National Disaster Management Coordination or Disaster Management Agency in the country of origin. So in Nepal, the Nepal Red Cross has a specific mandated role in the provision of relief supplies and in coordination in the National Disaster Management Coordination Body. And we would work with them to ensure that coordination is supported and efficient, and would add technical support where necessary. So colleagues who work on the emergency shelter cluster would be providing technical support in the approach to shelter, the relief supplies that are most efficient and effective in this situation, and how the distributions can be best coordinated as part of that relationship with the government and the legislation that the government is putting forward. And then the next level would be coordination with other bodies. So that would include the UN, through the cluster system if it's been activated, or if not, on an ongoing basis in technical areas and at a sort of more strategic operational level. It would be with NGOs and INGOs as other actors. We often have partnerships with other organisations to deliver specific areas. So it could be maybe with Oxfam in water and sanitation, or for example in Turkey in the population movement from Syria, we're working with UN agencies like UNICEF and WFP through Turkish Red Crescent to deliver services to people. And it could also be with corporate partners and with civil and military engagement. So in Nepal, there's been a lot of engagement with the military because of their role in supporting logistics in terms of access to air transport or support to the distribution process through the government. And we have specific rules governing the coordination with military. Or it might be with corporate partners. I've just come from a meeting with Coca-Cola, who have been working in past years providing logistic support and goods to those affected by floods in Eastern Europe, in Serbia and Bosnia. And then it would be coordination with them to see what assistance. So there are many levels of coordination. It's very multifaceted, and in order of, I suppose, importance to us, it's important we have our own coordination in order, and then that we can be in a strong position to do more unified coordination with other actors.